Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Roll the Dice with Dave. I'm your host, Dave Rivera, made in America with Puerto Rican parts, and I'm joined today by Ariana. She is a graduate of Flagler College. Now, Ariana, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been what, 3 years you've been graduated from Flagler?
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah.
Man, I tell you, time flies. Time flies because it seems just like yesterday that you graduated from Flagler. It's crazy to think that it's been 3 years now that you've been graduated. So, how has your life been since graduation?
Kind of hectic. I don't know if you remember, but a week before graduation, I got into a
You were in
really,
the
really bad
accident.
car accident.
Yes, yes.
Everybody thought I was dead. I was not dead. I was just sitting on the sidewalk waiting for help. So for the first like couple of months after graduation, it was mainly just lots of doctor's appointments, physical therapy, trying to make it so that way I could just be a normal human being again. And then a week after I had graduated physical therapy, I started my role as a Disney college program participant for the Walt Disney Company. So what that is essentially like an internship that you can do either while you're still in college or 6 months after graduation, and it's just kind of your foot in the door to kind of get you in there with Disney. So I did that, worked horrible hours, but I was on Main Street. So I used to be in the little, before they switched to blue, the little yellow
Oh
costume in the
gosh.
confectionery.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
did
and
that.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
It's okay. Yeah, I did that for 4 months. Then I went part time at the same location. But the way that Disney handles part time is that they don't really give you hours. So I was just kind of picking up everywhere, which is how you and I ran into each other at Epcot when I was
That's
picking up
right.
at the gift shop at Figment before I started with my new job at Partners, which is still Disney, but I'm now in banking instead of on stage.
So how are you liking that? How are you liking that kind of scenario and situation?
It's good. It's a lot more face to face that than I had in the theme park, which seems odd, but in the theme park you have a face for maybe like 20 seconds, you do a quick transaction, that's it. So with the credit union, it's a lot more personable because you're supposed to be able to take your time and get to know your member one on one. So it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of regulars. Gotten Christmas presents so far. They'll check up on me. They'll tell me about their kids. They'll ask me how I'm doing. Typically, it's about my love life because they see I don't have an engagement ring. And they're like, "Why are you not engaged?" And I'm like, "Ah, I'm not going there."
Oh my gosh, that's that is so wild. That's where people start off the jump. But thank you for getting me kind of caught up in a little bit uh, about all of that stuff. I want to give you what I refer to as a just a kind of a couple of warm up questions while we're kind of talking before we kind of jump into this. So I know you're doing the Disney. And correct me on the title if I get it wrong, but it's the Disney Candlelight Processional at Epcot, and it's where they do the kind of the retelling of a Christmas Carol. Is that correct?
It's not a Christmas Carol. It's a
Is it the
restore. It's a
Nativity?
Yes, a retelling of the
Okay,
Nativity, the story of
so they
Jesus.
do. So how did you get involved with that? How did that all come about? Where the last time I had ran into you at Disney, you were working, like you said, on stage, kind of at the front, Epcot. Uh, in one of the gift shops, and then all of a sudden now you're performing in front of really thousands and thousands of people. How many people are selected? Like, fill us in on some of that because that is an amazing feat in itself to be selected, and then to perform in front of all these people. So, can you just give us a little background on how you ended up there and a little bit more context to it? Because some people just may not be familiar with what you're doing with regard to the Disney Candlelight Processional.
Yeah, so the Candlelight Processional I was actually introduced to in high school because they allow for high schoolers and cast members to do it. So the 5:30, no, 5 o'clock show. I always get the time wrong. 5 o'clock show is only for high schoolers. So when I was in high school, my choir did it 3 years in a row. Senior year, singing has always been my passion. And before I went to Flagler, I was I actually started my college career at Stetson University as a vocal performance major, and that's really
Oh,
where I
okay.
thought my life was going to go, was performing on stage. Life took me differently, but I always knew I wanted to come back to singing and come back to being on stage, even if it was no longer my profession and it was just a side job. So when I started with Disney, it was always my goal to somehow get back on stage. And you have to be like a status cast member in order to do it. So they don't really like seasonal. You can do it as an intern, but I was working 4 to 2 in the morning at Main Street. There was no way I could have gone to rehearsals or anything like that. So when I first started with partners, I saw that there was a selection session, what they for the Candlelight Processional. And my very first year going, 1,800 cast members auditioned. So 1,800 cast members auditioned.
Whoa.
1,200 made it in, me being one of 1,200.
Oh man, so I didn't realize there was that
And then
many
this past
individuals that were
year, because
selected.
you have to re-audition. Yeah, it's because it's a big choir, and we start rehearsals like s- beginning of September, middle September, and we go through the middle of November because the show goes from Black Friday through the day before New Year's Eve. So
Okay.
it's a matter of making
Okay. So let me go ahead and jump into some of these things because part of the reason that we decided to connect was, you know, in one of my classes, we were just talking about great leadership, right? A lot of people, when they think about certain things with regard to Disney, they think about great leaders, especially Walt Disney. But before we kind of get into some of the more the deeper things, I want you to tell me, what do you think great leaders, the characteristics that they have, the core qualities that they encompass, um, to Ariana, right? And then we're going to start kind of tying this into some of the things that you're doing. But how would you define great leadership, and what do you think are the most important qualities of a great leader?
For me, a great leader is someone who remembers that the people who are on their team or under them or any capacity are people first. Other reasons why they're not
Playing from Pablo
making their
phone
goal
2.
or like not exactly at their best. And it's always a matter of approaching it with kindness and empathy first instead of just a strict business perspective. Because yes, the business matters, but when you have a person who feels like you only care about them in terms of business needs and not them as a human, you're going to get the burnout a lot faster. So I definitely look for in leadership someone who actually cares about me and my well-being, but also someone who is not afraid to tell me where I can grow. Like, give me the compliments. Yes, tell me when I'm doing great, but also based off the stuff I'm doing great, where can I go? What changes can I make in order to go to the next level and not just stay where I am?
Okay. So with that, I'm going to ask you this question, right? Can you talk about one in particular time where you've been at Disney where you would say, man, I've experienced what true great leadership actually should be?
Yeah, so that would be, I want to say about 2 years ago. I actually started with partners in the contact center before I moved to being a teller. And around Halloween, I found out through a phone call from my dad while I was at work that my grandmother passed away.
Oh,
And I was heartbroken because, like, I'm getting that news, but I'm also still supposed to be doing my job because I'm still on the clock. So I'm trying to finish my phone call with my member, and I just remember hanging up and then bawling my eyes out. And the first thing that my manager at the time did was saying, "Hey, why don't you call her?" And went, "What's wrong? Why is she crying? Is she okay?" And that meant a lot to me. And then I went on bereavement leave for 5 months. 2 days at first, and then came back to work, and then went back for 3 days just because we were planning the funeral. And when I got back, my entire team became witnesses on behalf of the family and the team.
Oh wow, okay. That's actually good. They considered you as a person first before kind of just a number, which is a great thing. That's great to hear. That's a great story. Oh, I think I lost you. Did I lose you? We'll pause for just a second. I think I lost you for a second. All right, there we go. So let me ask you this, because you talked about that good quality and the things that you saw right there. What do you think are the biggest mistakes that you've noticed that leaders make? And it could doesn't necessarily have to just stick with the Disney lifestyle, but it could be anything. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes leaders make when dealing with people that they work with? Oh, I think I lost her again. Did I lose you again, Ariana? Did you hear what I had to say?
I'm
My
here.
question. Okay.
I didn't hear your
Did you get my
question, but I
question?
heard what you were
Okay.
saying before the question.
All right, so I'll go ahead and ask you the question. The question is, what do you think the biggest mistakes leaders make? And it doesn't have to just be in the Disney context; it could be in any context that you think. But what do you think are the biggest mistakes leaders make when they deal with individuals that they're working with?
I think the biggest mistake that I've seen is assuming that everybody communicates the way that you do. So everybody has their own different type of communication style. They have a different way that they like to be recognized, a different way that they like getting feedback or things that they need to improve on. But I have seen just in my experience, just not with just Disney, but from my other previous working experience, that a lot of the times they feel like a one size fits all approach with how they handle their feedback and things like that. And I think that's the biggest mistake.
All right, so enough with the easy questions. I'm going to go ahead and get into a couple of the hard questions, right? And the hard question was, I think, what kind of triggered when you had responded. I had posted on Facebook. I'm teaching and actually, I don't want to say I'm teaching. I was leading what I feel is more of a leadership type workshop through the semester. We started to have a conversation on great leadership. And I said that certain individuals can never be great leaders to me. Right? There's no definition on the face of the earth where I would consider these individuals to be great leaders. I said even some of the leaders that people go, that's a great leader. I go, there's certain characteristics that they've exhibited that I don't consider them great leaders. I consider them good at leading certain aspects of things, but they're not great leaders. And here's why. So the question that I want to kind of ask you and what we were talking about is, can people like Hitler, can people like drug dealers, drug cartels, heads of hate groups like the KKK, do you think they could ever be considered great leaders? And that's kind of where I want to start the conversation and the question. Can those individuals be considered great leaders? And if you think so, why? And if you think no, then why not?
I don't think they can ever be considered great leaders, but I think that they can be considered great manipulators. And there's a huge difference for me because leadership, you're leading and you're setting the example of all the good you want somebody to do, not for selfish reasons. Because someone could end up going in a position above you if we're going strictly on a work standard based of all the coachings and help and mentorship that you've given them. That's a leader, someone who it doesn't matter whether or not you are somehow going to end up being in a higher position than them. Hitler and drug cartel dealers, they typically end up being master manipulators because they want you to think their way of thinking is the only correct way. Their thinking is the correct way. They're going to try to give you any type of proof that shows you that what they're thinking is correct and this is why you should
Mm-hmm.
follow them. So Hitler and like Mussolini and all of them, they weren't leaders. They just had a ton of followers. And
Okay.
Followers.
So I want to ask you this: Can you leadership according or great? We'll do this. Great leadership according to uh, Ariana Viruet, right? Great leadership according to you. Can you give me your Mount Rushmore of great leaders? So can you give me four leaders that you would love to see etched in stone somewhere, that you would consider great leaders?
Sure. So one of them does happen to be a president. I definitely think Barack Obama would be a good leader because just on some of the speeches that I've seen him do, and I know I was young and I wasn't able to vote when he was president, but when I do my research in history and I look at some of the speeches that he does, he's not afraid to point out his flaws. And that's a good leader to me. Someone who's also not afraid to acknowledge, hey, I'm human. I also have flaws. I may not have handled this situation greatly. So that's a great leader to me. Um, that's a hard one. He definitely stands out. Um, trying to
I
remember
told you
their
the questions were going to be a little
name.
harder, right?
Oh, ironically, this is a rapper. Yeah, this is a rapper, but I think Baby No Money actually has a really good potential to be a great leader because even in his music, he tries really hard to stand up for what he believes in, even if it's not what other people agree with. So one of the things that sticks out to me the most is he recently had a song where he says, and I will censor it for the camera, screw your opinion, protect them dolls, as a way of defending transgender women. And I feel like that
Hmm.
could be someone who's really good in leadership because there is a lot of controversy right now when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, and he is aware of that controversy, but yet he still went out of his way to say, hey, this is where I stand and I'm going to continue to stand by it. And this is just a correct thing to do, is to protect those in need. Whether or not, we don't really know if he truly believes in that, but that is what he's choosing to put out there, is that this group of people needs to be protected. And I feel like that can also make a really good leader because he's risking his career. He's risking perhaps his safety because he is a rapper. So he's known to the public eye just to stand up for something that he believes in. So Baby No Money. I never thought I would say that because I don't really listen to him, but
Okay, okay. No, that's
definitely one.
surprising, but I like kind of already you see a lot of diversity in the two individuals you've chosen, right? They're in two very different landscapes. They have reached to two very different types of audience. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, doesn't the Baby No Money, isn't his symbol like a BBNO and a dollar sign? Isn't that like what his, or am I mistaking him for something else? Right? Isn't that what his symbol is or something like that? Okay.
No, that's what his symbol is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you got two. You got two more. Two more.
Two more. I kind of forgot Mount Rushmore had four people on it.
Yeah.
Sees
See, and
how
this is a
long I've
tough
been
one,
in
right?
school.
Because uh,
um,
who you select for one set of reasons may be very different than the other person you select for a completely different reason, right? So that's what makes this tough. But so we have, I like how you right now you're on the bees, right? You have Barack Obama, Baby No Money, right? So you've gone with the bees as your two Mount Rushmore people so far. You got two more.
yeah.
Oh, did I lose you again?
So I'm actually go. Also, is a really I get to speak to him often. That's what I like about Partners. So Partners has their own separate CEO. His name is Ricky O. And
Oh, Ricky, who? I'm sorry, I missed the.
no, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Ricky, what? I'm sorry.
You hear me?
I could hear you in like little. It's like getting a little staticky, but so I heard Ricky, and I didn't hear the last name.
Okay, I see you're back.
All right, so we're losing each other, is what's happening. All right. So must just be a weird connection. So Ricky, what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, like you lose me sometimes, I lose you sometimes. Ricky Odie, he is the
Odie.
CEO of Partners. And what I like about Partners is a little smaller, so even on an employee standpoint, we get to see our leadership more often. And Ricky is each every one of us some type of. There we
I
go.
think there we go. All
um,
right.
yeah, even
All
with
right.
just do a
And
5-second conversation. Uh,
all right. Um, so do you have the four? Who's number four?
Number 4. Hmm. I honestly don't know if I've ran into a fourth person. Like I see everybody on social media. I've listed the presidents. I've listed the CEO. I don't know if I have a fourth person, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I just haven't met them yet. You're still muted.
How about now? Can you hear me okay now? All right. I'm still in my search for four, right? Uh, there's such a weird aspect. I do know one, right? One is my brother, Damian Rivera. He is the president and CEO of Alpha, which is a Latino organization. So he is definitely one. Falls in that aspect of great leadership that I have had a chance to witness. And then from there, I have like a long pause. And when I say a long pause, because I think there's some people that have done certain things that are moving them towards greatness, and then there's some people that are doing things that have moved them away from greatness. Right. So um, it just depends on the individual as far as uh, who I think the four leaders or the four Mount Rushmore people can be. So my brother's definitely on there, and then the other ones are just kind of a mixed group of people, right? So uh, I'm trying to think who might another one be. I like that you said Barack Obama because I think he did a lot of great things from there. Um, but I'm sure depending who you ask, some people may have some issues there. So right now, my Mount Rushmore has one, and then there's one person I know that's going to be on there in the future. My son Pablo is moving in that trajectory to be uh, a definite person on that Mount Rushmore of great leaders. Right. So I'm going to ask you this question. I'll kind of pop you back on stage, and maybe that's what we'll do. We'll keep kind of just drifting back and forth, and maybe it'll make it a little bit smoother. But um, can you tell us, are there any things that you're doing right now with regard to the performances or what's going on that you feel are helping you develop your leadership skills to maybe one day be on somebody's Mount Rushmore of great leaders?
Yeah, so I definitely live by the motto, and it's really cheesy, but they taught me it in middle in preschool all the way up into high school is I treat people the way I want to be treated. So I always try to approach every conversation with kindness and empathy and really try to get to know everybody on a personal level, but also show up as my best self. So a lot of that when it came to the candlelight choir is when I would go to rehearsals, we would have the Voices of Liberty. One of the cast members would be in charge of our rehearsals, and I would try to say hello to them just on my way out of the rehearsal and just let them know like thank you so much for everything that you're doing. It's really inspiring me what you're doing. Um, And then if I hear someone who does a really good job in rehearsals, like sometimes I go to rehearsals and the basses are struggling just a little bit. But there was one rehearsal I remember we were doing basses only for a certain part of the song and they just nailed it. It was the best I've ever heard the basses sound in that rehearsal. And we only get to rehearse for an hour and a half every day that we choose to go to rehearsal. And they hit it. They hit the nail on the head. And I just remember I started clapping. I was like, okay, you go basses. And that started to make everybody else start clapping and cheering on the basses. So I also try to lift other people up. But I also am not afraid to help people and share my knowledge. So a lot of that at work currently is, is we have two new hires and they have a lot of questions. They do. They know a lot. First was tell
All right, let me go ahead and get back on. There we go. So thank you for sharing that. Hopefully everything kind of came through okay with regard to what Ariana was communicating. I do have another question for you. Can you give us any kind of just little tidbit or little behind the scenes information on just what goes into this type of production that people may not think about, um, and what your role is in really helping this production go on the way it is? You talked about there were, I think, 1,200 people taken, and you can correct me if I'm wrong when you pop back up onto the screen. That 1,200 people were taken. But are there any cool behind the scenes things? Any celebrities that maybe have come seen the production? Just give us a little bit of an idea of everything that is going on.
yeah. So we have celebrity narrators that come in every year. That's just part of the Candlelight Processional. You have the Voices of Liberty and the cast choir that does the singing, and then our lovely celebrity in the middle that's doing the narration. I think the coolest part for me backstage is that you're never singing with the same people twice. And if you are, it's very, very rare. It's really you just sign up for whatever show that you can either because it is the first come serve shows or the ones that you really want. And so I know some people go into it looking for a particular narrator. I performed this past Monday with Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid, and it was so great to see a lot of people in the cast choir just get so excited to sing with Ralph Macchio and start talking about all of the shows that they know him from. If they're around my age, it was Cobra Kai. There was also my cousin Vinny, and then just the original Karate Kid. So getting to hear everybody's stories about why they chose him and how they're so excited is really nice. But really also the rehearsal process means the world when it comes to the Candlelight Processional because that's when we really get to come together as a choir. Even though we all have different rehearsals, we do different songs depending on how important we feel we need to go over like a certain diction if we're doing the German. um, the rehearsals is really what makes the show shine because we have the Voices of Liberty cast member running the rehearsal, and they always tell us their stories about how long they've been doing the Candlelight Processional, how long they've been with the Walt Disney Company, how long they've been singing with the Voices, and things like that. And just getting to share those stories and know that all of our individual stories as humans is what's going into the retelling of the nativity, even if it's not a story you believe in. Because we do have a lot of cast members who are atheists, some that are Jehovah Witness, Jewish. It was not something that they would typically celebrate or typically talk about, but seeing them all come together to just reveal a piece of themselves while also telling the story is just such an amazing backstage moment for me.
Thank you actually for sharing that. I think my favorite part that you shared right there was not everybody necessarily believes in the nativity story, right? But you have all these individuals that are coming together from a wide range of backgrounds to actually deliver such a great experience for Disney guests. I do have a follow up question though that I have to ask. Um, how was Ralph Macchio chosen to be one of the celebrity? Like, I didn't know he would be considered a singer or any of that kind of stuff. Yes, and I'm going to date myself. I remember him from the '80s, right? The original Karate Kid, and I follow Cobra Kai, and then I went. I think the first day or the second day it came out, Karate Kid Legends. I've always been a Karate Kid guy. Although I have to admit, when you're young, you're hyped about Ralph Macchio being the Karate Kid. But I think as I've gotten older, I've become more of a Johnny Lawrence fan, right? Cheering on Johnny Lawrence because it's as much his story arc as it is Ralph Macchio's as the Karate Kid, right? But how was he selected to be part of this production at Disney?
I am going to be completely honest. I have no idea how they choose the celebrity narrators. Sometimes they're the same people, sometimes they're different. Ralph Macchio did it for the very first time last year, and I honestly think that he was welcomed back this year because of the fact that for both of his shows that he narrated last year, it was standing room only. And even this year, Sunday, I was supposed to originally perform Sunday with him, but we got rained out, and we normally perform in the rain. We just hold umbrellas, but there was lightning. So we can't, for safety concerns, we can't perform when there's lightning outside. So everybody who had wanting to see him Sunday came to his shows on Monday. And it was a full house. They had everybody essentially sitting in each other's laps. And then 4 rows of people just standing wanting to see Ralph Macchio. So I think part of it is because he brought in a lot of business for them, but I have no idea how else they choose otherwise. I think you're muted.
Who's making your? I want to ask you this question because we're both Puerto Ricans, right? Puerto Ricanos, both of us, right? So I have to ask you this: who's making your coquito for the holiday season? Who made it for you? Are
Me.
you making it? You make it. Good for you. Good for you. My
I'm
son
making
makes
it.
ours. Yeah, my son makes ours. It's the best
Mhm.
coquito I've ever had. My son is I call him the coquito king. Um, I think he makes it better than my parents. My dad makes it, and I think my son makes it much better than my dad. Um, but with that, right, I want to go ahead and throw this out because we are talking a little bit about leadership, and I want to give a big shout out to somebody, an amazing leader, very influential in the Latino community, has his own company. He just wrote a book. So I want to throw this up here, right? The book is called Amplifier Scaling Social Influence Beyond Yourself. Fernando Rosario. He leads the lead program for Alpha at their big conventions. Does an amazing job. I've learned so much from him being around him for the last about 5 years or so. Um, Actually, I would say 6 going on 7. Met him in 2019 where we helped do the lead program together. It's a great book. I think people should start reading it, especially we were talking a little about leaders being that person that can amplify not just your life, but amplify those around and how people around you can amplify yours. It's a great read so far. I just got it on Wednesday and I'm reading a little bit each night. So I highly recommend it. If you're looking at getting somebody something that's just a little bit different gift this holiday season, I highly recommend that book. As we go to wrap up, I actually want to turn it back over to Ariana. Ariana, any final or parting words you maybe have for people on two things? One, your views on leadership, kind of as you wrap it up. And two, what is your favorite thing about Christmas at Disney?
Yeah, so when it comes to my views on leadership, I just want everybody to remember that leadership looks different to every single person. It's truly how you feel like you would be a leader. So, however you think you would lead, I feel like that's what you should look for in a leader because you know yourself best. And if you know that you're going to go out there, put your best foot forward, really care about someone, that's what you should look for. And then my favorite part about Christmas at Disney is honestly just being able to get back on stage. I have missed it so much and I don't get to do it often enough. And just being able to complete myself because I feel like when I'm not on stage, there's just a tiny part of me that's missing. But being able to be a whole and share my joy with everybody around me is truly my favorite part about Christmas at Disney. And, the discounts that I get and the pretty lights are nice too. But definitely just being able to share the joy and immeasurable pleasure I get by being on that stage.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I just want to say, Ariana, it has been such a pleasure, an enlightening conversation, kind of reconnecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing two things. One, your insights on leadership, because we've talked about it and just kind of shared some things back and forth. But I have to be honest, I think the thing I enjoyed the most was listening to you speak about your experience getting back on stage, to see your eyes light up, to see your spirit, your smile, all of that kind of shine through. I think it's pretty cool. It's really cool when you see people's passions and what inspires them to try and be the best version of themselves. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. This was Roll the Dice with Dave. And once again, I am made in America with Puerto Rican parts. And until next time, based on what Ariana said and what I think is an awesome thing, continue to lead with your heart. And remember, great leadership isn't just about where you take people, it's who you can become along the way. Ariana, again, thank you so much for your time. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. I really appreciate it. And I hope to be able to get to Disney and see you on stage. But I hope you have a good rest of your night. Have a great holiday.
Thank you, you too. Bye.